Hey, welcome to our second annual Mega Wellness Summit, where we are transforming lives one aha moment at a time. I'm your host, Nikki Jensen, and thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this event with your friends and family. Today, we're talking to Ryan Andrews, a podcast extraordinaire turned to a physical fitness expert. So today, I'm picking Ryan's brain on how we can shift our mind to get the life we want. Welcome, Ryan Andrews. How are you?
Mahalo's plenty. Doing good.
Hey, thanks so much for being on Mega Wellness Summit. I'm really truly excited that you're talking with me, and I get to pick your brain on the mind and how, let's see, and really how you transformed your life, right? From, well, you're a podcast guy, you kind of were overweight and heavier, right?
Yeah, I lost almost 100 pounds.
Say that again?
I lost almost 100 pounds.
Holy crap. That's a lot of weight. How long did that take you?
I did it. I like to say I did it in stages. So I lost 80 pounds once, and I was like, yay, that was awesome. And then I gained it all back, which is common. And then I would lose 30, gain 50, lose 50, gain 30, and kind of yo-yo. And then a few years ago, I had a breakthrough, and I only lost about 40 pounds at that time, but it's gone, and it's never come back since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why was the weight on? What happened? Why the weight gain?
Some people are born that way, where they're heavy children and they grow up and they're heavy. And I was not that person. I was the skinny kid. My grandparents used to make fun of me that I was too thin. And I know, right? And then so I played football, and one time the coach came to me and said, "Andrews, gain some weight." I said, "Yes, sir," and promptly gained 70 pounds in 2 months. And never went off after that. It was only just a steady incline from that point forward. Really, the discovery for me was that I found that there was a correlation between stored trapped emotions and stored trapped fats. And once I was able to release my emotions, then the fat just kind of fell off. That's the shorthand for it.
Interesting. So how long have you been working with somebody releasing the trapped emotions?
It was something that I did on my own, actually. And this is one of the areas that through the mental game that really was my impact. So, for example, my brother, he asked me to go do an Ironman race with him. And I thought, okay, I'll go do an Ironman. Now, for those of you who don't know, I don't know if you're familiar with Ironman or not. It's a long race. I did what they call the half Ironman, which is 70.3 miles. And it's still quite a long ways. You swim 1.5 miles. You bike 56 miles, and then you run 13.1, a half marathon. And the training for that is grueling. It's grueling. But I can tell you this, one of the things that I gained from running 14 miles for a training day was I'm stuck in my head, and I'm battling my demons in my mind as I'm running, I'm battling my demons. And I would just talk to myself the whole time I was training, whatever it was. If I was face down in the water for an hour, or if I was on the bike pushing it out for 4 hours, it didn't matter. I was stuck in my own head, and I learned how to kind of overcome the obstacles and ask myself questions. And really, it's kind of a lifetime. I grew up as a kid, Zig Ziglar. My mom was always listening to him, and I had all these motivational speakers playing in the car the entire time. And so I had the tape, right? I had the tape of what to do. I knew the right things to say to myself, the right questions to ask. And so I did. I would ask questions, and it would help me to release my emotions. But really, my biggest breakthrough was when my wife laughed at me one day. I know that sounds kind of funny, but I was stuck on this cycle of eating. So it's common if you're overweight to, you eat because you're depressed, and you're depressed because you eat, and you get in this cycle of stress eating and all this stuff. And so I had a dozen cinnamon buns that I had purchased at the grocery store, just to treat myself for, being a hard worker. And I ate them all. Yeah. This is the short version of the story, but I ate them all. And sitting there wallowing in cinnamon bun bliss, I thought, Brian, you have a problem, dude. You got to get some help. And I thought that I was going to go see a psychologist or something. Like I need to figure out what's wrong with me. The next day, I talked to my wife and I said, hey, last night I bought a dozen cinnamon buns and I ate them all. And she said to me, she just laughed. And that laugh, and she wasn't laughing at me. She wasn't like, ha, 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 you idiot. She was like, it was a non-judgmental kind of like, like I was telling her a joke. Like there was something not wrong with what I had done. There was no shame in it. There wasn't any judgment in it. It was just kind of like a chuckle, like, oh, you're so funny. And when I said, I really need help, she goes, well, what can I do? I said, well, maybe I'll just make a change. And I did. And from that point forward was really my breakthrough. And what it was for me, it was that acknowledgement of, you made a mistake. I don't judge you. Now, what are you going to do? And it really helped me to just kind of, get into it. And for me, what I did is I went on a juicing fast. I juiced breakfast and lunch, and then I ate at dinner for a week. And during that time, if any of you have been ever fasted or ever done any kind of fasting whatsoever, your mind is like, is going 1,000 miles a minute because you have nothing else to do. Your body is just like processing all of the toxins that it's releasing and all the other junk. And your hormones are on the fritz. And so you're just stuck in your head a lot. And so that moment of acceptance where my wife accepted me really started me on the pathway to discovering what's going on inside.
Yeah.
That's actually the quick answer, believe it or not.
I would have taken the long answer.
Okay.
The thing is, I was just talking to a mom over the weekend. My son had his 10th birthday party here at my house. And so a mom dropped off her son, and she's a physical fitness expert, and so she's a trainer. And then I told her what I did, and I said, funny, we're getting into talking about the mindset. I go, because I don't feel like I can go and run a marathon, and because my mind is so all over the place that I can't mentally get into it. And she's like, I know. What I train mostly with people who do sports is how to train their mindset, because it's mostly not even physical. It's all about the mind.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, fantastic. I have an expert that knows all about that. So you mentioned that you trained for an Ironman. For one, how long did it take you? And two, how did you train your mind to change to get through a race like that?
Yeah. So that race is so physically demanding that it's really not possible to get your body in the place where you can do it without having a really strong mental capability. It was a 7-hour race for me. The people who won the race did it in about 4, which is stunning. I can't even imagine doing it that much faster than I did it. But so the race itself was about 7 hours of grueling punishment on your body. Now, the only way you're going to get through that much time is by having a strong mind. And for me, I actually didn't train as long as I should have. So my brother got me to get involved with it. I said, okay, sure. And I really only had about 90 days to get ready for Ironman. Prior to that, I was an athlete. I'd done some things before. I play soccer weekly. I wouldn't say I was in shape. I certainly wasn't fit enough to run more than 2 miles, let alone do a half marathon. I hadn't ridden a bicycle since my BMX days as a teenager. 16 years old was the last time I'd ridden a bicycle. And yet I had to go 56 miles on a road bike, which I'd never even shifted gears before. And I had to swim 1.5 miles. Now, I'm a strong swimmer, but my swimming was all, beach swimming and ocean swimming, and where you can touch the ground and you can take breaks or whatever else. I had never done any long distance face down swimming before. And I say I have 90 days to train because what happened was I purchased a bike and I started to ride the bike and it broke. And I had bought some shoes and they were giving me blisters and I was getting problems. And so I couldn't run. So all I could really do was swim prior to the 90 days. Once I got all my equipment fixed, then I really pushed. For 90 days, I pushed as hard as I could. Now, my goal was I just knew from past things that I had done. I climbed Mount Whitney twice. You know, I've done some other things that caused my mind. I needed to use my mind to be able to complete the task. So I knew that it was going to be mentally tough and that I had to get my mind right. So for me, it was, first thing I had to do was accomplish the distances. Not all together, not all at once, but I knew that I had to accomplish the distances. If I set a goal to swim 2,000 meters, and I know that I can go from point A to point B and complete 2,000 meters without drowning, then come race day, I have a marker for myself. I know I have accomplished this in the past and that I can accomplish it today. So that's what I did. I set out and started swimming, and 300 meters, and I'm like huffing and puffing, you know, just sucking wind. And then the next one, 400 meters, dying. The next day it was, you know, maybe 800 meters. And the next day, and so I just swam. I actually swam twice a day, every single day for 2 weeks. And at the end of the 2 weeks, I could swim 2,000 meters, and I could do it in a respectable time. 36 minutes was at that time was the time for the swim. Amazing. But really what it was little chunks. So I took just little time. Okay, I know yesterday I did 800 meters, so today I'm going to push it and go 1,000 meters. And then, you know, maybe I'm dying at 900, but I go, I got to finish 1,000. I got to do 1,000 a day. And then the next day it was, you know, 1,200. And the next day it was 1,500. So just the little goals along the way helped me to know that I've done this before. I can do it in the future. And I applied that same technique across the, you know, the biking and the running. And I tell you what, 56 miles on a bicycle, if you've never done 56 miles on a bicycle, it is a long ways. It is a long ways. Oh my gosh. We have this really cool trail out here, and slow me down if I'm going too fast, but we have this really cool trail out here that's 30 miles from point A and back. You go out to the dam and then back from the dam all the way back. It's all paved road. It's beautiful hiking trail, but it's paved hiking trail, and it's 30 miles. Now, I still have 26 miles to do after that 30 miles. So to train on that 30 miles, I would either have to do it twice, which is mentally very challenging, or I had to find another way to go. And so I would go all the way out to the dam. I would go across the dam. I would go through that entire city, Shasta Lake City, come back down across the dam and ride all the way back, you know, to the Sundial Bridge. And then I would go through some walking paths, dodging kids and moms and strollers and all kinds of stuff. And then I'd go down this big hill and back around, and then I could do it 56 miles. And I'll tell you, at 30 miles, I wanted to quit every time. Every single time. I'd get to 30 miles and I was done. I didn't want to go any further. But I had created a system for myself where I was stuck. It was do or die. So I would go 30 miles away from my car before I had to turn around and come back. So and I did the same thing for running. For example, if I knew I wanted to run 6 miles, I would run 3 miles away from my house. And then the only way to get home was to run 3 miles back. I had no choice. I couldn't quit. I couldn't say to myself, you know what? You're tired. You did a good job. 2 miles. Okay, that's excellent. You can be done now. That's enough. I was stuck. Once I had run that far away from the house, the only way back, without a cell phone, without any way to call anybody for help, was to turn around and come back. And so I did that for the biking. I did that for the running. And just setting those kind of goals and setting yourself up to where you have to do it or else, tremendous. It's really the only way to get there. And I remember the hardest for me was running, because I don't like to run. I don't like to run. And I still run, 20 miles a week. But I don't like it. I still do it. I've been becoming, better off. I like it more now. But the biggest one was the run. And I couldn't really break that 6 mile barrier. For me, 6 miles was a long ways. It was tough. My body hurt. I was a bigger guy. I was probably 15, 20 pounds heavier than I am right now. And, that extra weight really impacted on my joints and muscles. And I remember there was one run where I said, okay, I'm just going to go 6 miles. And I get out, and I'm about 3 miles out, and I think, oh, I know this. I know where I'm going. I'm going to turn here. I know exactly where I am. I turned right, and that turned to be an 8 mile detour. So I forced myself into 11 miles. It was an accident.
Well, I can definitely see that. That would be like, oh, crap. Willing or not, it's going to happen.
Well, and by the time I knew what I had done, it was too late. I was already 6 miles away. And so that means I was turn around and go 6 miles back, or I go, well, let's just see where this takes me and keep going. And I just kept going, and I got to the end and I went, wow, I can do it. I can run the distance. And once I knew that I could do it and I could run that distance, then I was good. Then I knew it was just pushing through. It was just pushing through.
I talked to a lot of people because I've helped people lose weight, right? And so the thing is that they say to me, Nikki, I can't get disciplined enough to change my diet or to exercise. And then I would say, well, we're going to take it step by step and do, you're going to omit this and add in this. It's all about adding in, right? Mm-hmm. So that was the way that I presented the first steps of changing them. The thing is that with changing their mindset to, and really it was around gluten and bread and carbohydrates and changing their diet to where they're just more of a fat burner than a carbohydrate burner, right? Than a sugar burner.
Yeah.
And so for me, they would always ask me, what kind of exercise should I do? And I was like, I didn't lose weight by exercising. I don't know. And they're like, well, I don't love to run, and I don't have the mind set to really get me to start walking or running. And you know what? They always had these grandiose ideas that they wanted to just, start out by, I'm going to go run 2 miles. And here they are, they're super heavy and they need to really lose 30, 40 pounds before they even hit the pavement running.
Yeah.
But I don't say that. I say, well, it's all about the baby steps. You just start with changing your diet first.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm always hung up with is the fitness part, because it doesn't resonate with me either, because I still can't change my own mindset when it comes to running. Now, here I am in May, I'm supposed to be running a half marathon. Thank you. I never expected myself to ever do a half marathon, ever. I never wanted to. I never had the will.
Yeah.
But you have inspired me. For one, really, honestly, you inspired me because you did the Ironman. I know that you in the past you had some back problems, you lost a bunch of weight, and it seemed like it was transforming your life to where I'm like, I think it's time for me to do something that's bigger than me. And I really felt that was a good step in the right direction to start helping other people. Because once you do it yourself, then you say, well, I did it, so I think if I could do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And so, that's why I want to really talk to you and pick your brain on, while running the Ironman, while doing all of that in one day, what pushed you? Was it one day?
One day,
Yeah, one day.
Yeah.
Well, and you had months of preparation, right? 90 days?
Yeah.
Yeah. So within that day, what happened to you from from the day before? Because I'd be pooping myself the day before.
Yeah.
Going, I can't believe I did this. So what happened to you? Start from the day before.
Okay, start from the day before. Well, we arrived. This was in Lake Tahoe, so it's at elevation, mile high, and I was swimming at 6,500 feet elevation. That's where the swim started. That was the lowest point of the entire thing. So I had to, acclimatize a little bit. And so we got there 2 days prior, but the lead up was terrifying. I had done each thing individually, and I knew I could do each discipline on its own. And I felt really good with my swim. It was one area where I felt really strong. Most people actually fear the swim. That was my number one area. So I was really excited about the swim, and swim straight to a bike. I thought, okay, I can do that. It's just running a little bicycle for, almost 60 miles. How hard could that be? And I was afraid of the run. That was where I was afraid. And so coming into Lake Tahoe, it was beautiful. It's stunning. You're looking around, the lake is crystal clear. It was cold. I wasn't used to the cold. It it was just one of those things where you're about to experience something that few people experience. And that alone got me so excited that I actually kind of shrugged off a lot of the fears. One of the things that I do prior to was preparation. Prepare, learn, dig in, research. I found as much information as I could about what was about to happen. I knew that if I was prepared enough to eliminate the fear, that I wouldn't suffer the consequences of fear. Now, you know this, I'm sure you've had children, so you know that when you get to that point where there's the transition and the baby's coming out, you know, it's go time. It's go time. Like, there is no stop at this point. It has to happen. And the less you think about the things that are scary, the easier that transition goes. You know, I can speak to that because we had 4 kids at home, and I was there on the other side of my wife for 4 kids. So, you know, I've seen it. I saw my wife go through it, and I saw her, you know, break down that barrier and move forward. So for me, the preparation was the same. And I had, you know, set my bike up 600 different times the day before and check the air pressure and make sure all the gears are going, and, you know, go for a light swim in the lake to get the feel of the water, and get on the bicycle a little bit. And, you know, I did a short 3-mile run the day before just to kind of get the blood moving and get used to the altitude. And so the day before for me was all about preparation. And I believe that anytime you're going to tackle something, that you have to be mentally prepared before you start. I don't think if you just jump right into it. My brother went in cold. He swam with me, but he didn't do any of the running. He didn't do any of the biking. I mean, he had trained prior to, and he was an Army veteran, so he's a pretty fit guy. But he didn't do the same preparations I did prior to the event. And so the day before, you could see the difference between us. I was anticipating, I was excited, and you could see some of the fear on him. So for me, the preparation was the key to the beforehand. Now, the day of, this is when you can say all you want about the preparation. You can say all you want about the mental, you know, okay, I accomplished this distance. You can say all you want about the stuff that you did prior to leading up to it. But when you actually are standing in the blocks and they're about ready to fire off the cannon, and you know you got to go jump out in that lake and swim to the other side, it's go time. And so all those other things they say with boxers, you know, everyone has a plan until they get hit. You know, it's the same thing. It was like, wow, this is really going to happen. And I tell you, the mental toughness didn't kick in until I was dying. And what happened was I swam so well. I came out of the water. I felt strong. You know, guys are swimming over top of me and hitting me in the head and knocking my goggles off. And, you know, there's 3,000 people in the water. And I come out the other side. I'm like, okay, I made the swim. I'm done. Now we're on the bike. I was like, 1 down. Okay, cool. I got on the bike and I felt so alive and so, you know, so strong and so ready for what was about to happen that I was powering on the bike, and I was passing people with bikes that were way more expensive than mine. And I was doing really well on the bike, looking around, enjoying the majesty, just really, you know, for me, getting into the moment as opposed to being focused on the actual doing the thing. It was a great way to get out of your head, right? Look at the trees. I'm looking around me. I'm talking to the fellow competitors as I'm riding. I'm enjoying the moment, because if for some reason I pop a tire or, you know, a gear breaks or something happens, I'm out. The race is over for me. So it's like, you got to enjoy it while you have the opportunity. So I'm enjoying the race. And then the hill, the backside, 40 miles into the bike ride, there was the hill.
You didn't pop a tire?
No.
You didn't. I hear so many people, they have to carry tires with them.
Yeah. I had 2 sets of tires with me, and my brother, he lost his inner tube twice. I didn't pop a tire once. No.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. So I get to the backside of this hill, and it turns out to be 6 miles straight up from 6,800 feet elevation to 7,800 feet elevation. And it was unbelievable. For me, having only 90 days of bike training, 1,000 people passed me on that hill. So to keep my mind strong enough while I'm riding at like 3.5, 4 miles an hour, and, you know, have these people gingerly riding past me, I'm thinking, do I suck? What's going on? At one point, I actually turned and asked this young lady who was briskly riding past me on the hill, how are you so much faster than me? She goes, oh, it's just body weight. And I thought, her saying that to me, it freed me from it. I was about 3.5 miles into the hill, and I went, okay, Ryan, you weigh 215 pounds. Like my race weight was 215 pounds. You're pushing a lot more up the hill. It's going to be slower. Just don't worry. When you get to the other side, your weight will help you. And so 6 miles, it got so bad that I literally thought I was going to die. My legs were on fire. And the only thing that kept me going at that point was just don't stop. Okay. So I didn't have a really strong why. It was just don't stop. I still had energy. I'd been eating some food, and I had done well prior to. So this was a short moment in my pain at the time. The rest of the race had been really fun, really easy. This was the first moment of pain, the first moment of adversity. I was, just don't stop, Ryan. Just don't stop. So I was able to, with my own strength, my own mental toughness from the training that I had done prior, the preparation that I made the day before, I was able to push it and get over the hill. Whew, made it over the hill. 40 miles. I still have 16 more to go. That next 16 miles was pretty grueling. I got to be honest. It was 16 miles to the place where I dropped my bike off. I get in there, I pull in, and there's my wife and my kids. Yay! And I'm riding by, and they're cheering me on as I ride in. They're like, there he is, there he is. I was like, oh, yay, they're here. And I'm half crying. I'm trying not to cry, just like, go, Ryan, go, And I drop the bike, and I start running. And then here's where it happened. My knee went out. About 1.5 miles into my run, my right knee went out on me. I collapsed. I had to dig up.
You were on the ground?
I went down. I hit the ground. My knee gave out. I fell onto the ground, and I got myself back up, and I kind of half jogged, half walked, trying to feel like what's wrong with my knee, drink some water and just try and push a little bit. There was something definitely wrong with my knee. And so I'm thinking, oh no, what am I going to do? And I just, I just pushed and pushed and pushed. And really at that point, I decided maybe this is good. Maybe you've proven everything. No reason to get hurt. You got to go home and play with your kids. You got 4 kids that want you to have a good knee for the rest of your life. I mean, if you keep pushing now, is your knee going to be destroyed and you won't be able to play with them anymore? Maybe you just, never mind, hit the aid station, get some ice, and call it a day. You've done well, and what you've done already is amazing. Mm-hmm. Here's what happened. I thought, I can't quit. My kids are waiting for me at the finish line, and I can't quit. If I don't cross that finish line, they don't see me cross that finish line, then they'll think that they can quit. I can't quit. If I quit now, what am I going to say? What am I proving to my own children? I can't quit. Ryan, you have to keep going. So I did. I pushed forward another 6 miles. My other knee went out on me. So now both knees are in torturous pain. And I'm relegated to a half walk, half jog, dragging one leg as far as I can. I still have another 6.2 miles to go. And I thought, okay, Ryan, you've proven everything you can. Both your knees are gone. You can't even hardly walk. You got 6 miles to go. Enough's enough. And I dug deeper. Now my son, I'm going to pause my story here for a second. My son, Ezekiel, my oldest son, he's super skinny. He plays tackle football, and he's the smallest kid on his team by far, not even close. The next closest kid is 20 pounds heavier than him. And for some reason, he is starting defensive lineman. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about football, the linemen are the big guys. Those are the biggest guys on your team are usually the defensive linemen. And they put him as a starting defensive tackle. And because, and here's why, the kid has zero quit in him. He doesn't quit. He won't give up. He keeps fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting until that other kid gives up and he makes the play. And so I'm sitting there and I'm trying to pull it together, trying to figure out how, trying to get a why that's strong enough for me to finish. And I was thinking about my kids, and then it hit me. Ezekiel wouldn't quit. That's what I said. I said, Ezekiel wouldn't quit. I know it. Zeke wouldn't quit. And if that little guy won't quit, surely I'm not going to quit. There's no way I'm quitting because I know Zeke wouldn't quit. So for the next 6 miles, my mantra was Zeke wouldn't quit. Keep going, Ryan. Zeke wouldn't quit. Zeke wouldn't quit. And so for 6 miles, my kids were my why. And I tell you, I got to the bottom of the hill right before the final ascent to the finish line, and I'm walking, I mean, dragging my legs. I could barely move forward, and I started to run. And it hurt, and I ran anyways. And I crossed the finish line with my hands in the air, running across the finish line. And there was my family cheering for me the whole way. The guy on the speaker saying, "Ryan Andrews, you are an Ironman," you know, and I'm crossing the line, and it was an unbelievable moment in my life. Changed everything for me. And the power of what I learned from it, from the whole race, beyond all of everything else, is if you have a strong enough why, there's nothing that will stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that will stop you. And so that's my tip for what it takes to get off the couch, what it takes to not put that extra food in your mouth, like you talked about, is to get a why that is so strong that you have no choice but to stop. And really, unfortunately, a lot of times the strong whys only come in those moments where we're challenged so hard that we want to quit. And we decide not to quit. And when we decide not to quit, there's usually a moment there where we discover what our true why is. And that's my Ironman story.
I love that. I love that. You know, okay, so I had some aha moments in that.
Good.
One, what I just learned and what I just heard is that part of the mindset is incorporating mantras, right?
Yeah.
So you used Ezekiel as your mantra.
Yeah.
Zeke wouldn't quit. Zeke wouldn't quit. Then you follow that with images in your brain, right? In your mind's eye, where he's pushing through. So you saw him playing football, and it was like every single weekend we see him push through. He doesn't quit. I'm not going to quit. Because as soon as you start saying to yourself, it's over, you start seeing yourself going, you see yourself, it's over.
Yeah.
But then what you did was you pushed through. There was something at the end. Okay, so that's another aha moment. Having the end in mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So one was your family. You didn't want to disappoint them and say, well, both of your legs went out. I have no idea how that even happened for you. But I think that's nothing short of a miracle in my mind.
Yeah.
Nothing short of a miracle.
The challenge was getting back up. With one knee gone, you know, you still have one good leg, but when both of them went out and I hit the ground again, and now I knew it was both my knees were done. That's the power of the human spirit right there. It's the only way. That's the only way. There's no reason. I should have waited for somebody to come with a cart and pick me up, you know, but I just, while I'm sitting there deciding whether or not to get up, and I thought about my son playing football. Just do it.
Yeah.
You just get up and you just go.
Right.
You can't. You just got to do it. And the pain is bad and it hurts. And every step is torture. And you want to scream. And you just have to mentally, you have to just block it out and focus on another part of your body or another thing. And in this case, I focused on my kids. I focused on the finish line. I focused on the accomplishment of what I trained for. And let me just tell you, the training leading up to this was so grueling that I wouldn't want to do it again just because of the training, not because of the actual race. Now, I probably will end up doing one again just because I know me, but you know, at the current moment, it's not on my to-do list. Like, I've proven everything I have. And you know, that grueling training, really in that moment, that's when your training kicks in too, because you know that, you know, you've pushed through times where you were in pain. There was one time I was on a run that turned into a 14-mile run, and I had never at that point run any further than 8. And I ran out of water. I didn't plan on 14 miles. It just turned into 14 miles. I ran out of water. And my body was shutting down because it was 106 degrees out and there was 90% smoke. I mean, it was when all the fires were happening, and it was horrible. It was horrible. but I couldn't stop. I was in the wilderness. If I stopped, nobody's going to come and get me. I had no choice. I had to keep going.
Right.
So having those moments where you can look back on them and say, that happened to me, or even having it for somebody else. You know, during those times, I thought about my brother in Afghanistan. And there were times where I heard stories that he was over there and they were completely surrounded by the enemy, completely surrounded, ran out of ammunition, and still somehow they were able to pull it out. You know, it's stories of like that. Sometimes it's somebody else's accomplishment. The 4-minute mile, when the 4-minute mile, Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. Now all of a sudden everyone else could do it, even though nobody else had done it before other than him. You could say, well, if Roger did it, then I can do it too. So it doesn't have to necessarily be your own accomplishments, but it helps if you've done it, if you were the one that have done it before, you know. But that fight to get up, it's just the human spirit.
I agree, which is strong.
It's in everyone. It's in everyone. If you think you don't have it, you do.
Right.
You can say, no, I'm not that person. There's no way I could do it. Oh, give me a break. How many times we hear stories of moms picking cars up off of their babies, you know, and gosh, there's movies about people. What's that movie with the guy that had to cut his own arm off and then hike out of the desert?
Oh gosh,
right?
That was insane. That was the worst part ever. What is that movie called?
Oh
gosh, I remember vividly with that part. And oh gosh, what is that movie called?
128, I think it's 128 hours or something like that, or
hours.
I think it's 120 hours.
Yeah. That was something else. Can you imagine having to cut off your own arm? But you have willpower to live. And so he was like, if I'm going to live, I'm going to cut off my own damn arm because it doesn't mean much to me. My life, my heart, my brain depend on it. Oh, I thought that was incredible.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, I wasn't cutting my own arm off, but you know, when you're going through something difficult, you're going through something challenging, the same thing happens, you know, just like in the movie where they're showing the tapes playing in his mind and he was remembering, you know, the things that happened in his life. It's not just when you're dying that you get the flashbacks. It's when you need something stronger, when you need something deeper, when you need to dig deep and pull it out. That's when the tapes start to play. That's when you start to remember those moments, you know. And that's why they're important. It's important to have the moments too. It's important to challenge yourself. It's important to take little steps to do challenges that are difficult, you know, because then you've accomplished them. And you can look back when you're in those other moments and you go, wow, that was really hard. And I remember it. And I'll push forward. I can do this. I can definitely move forward from this.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You know, I just started a school for women. It's called Women's Wellness Academy.
Yeah.
And I have on the website, what is your why? Why do you want to change your life?
Yeah.
And so our children are typically a big enough why to change ourselves and to change our family, the way that we eat, the way that we live. And for me, I was consistently hearing, I don't know how to feed my children healthy food like you do, Nikki. I don't know how to raise them naturally and holistically like you do. And I'm like, there's nothing special that I do. Let me just teach you the tools because you can get there. It's not very hard. Yeah. But in their mind, it is hard for them. They've been so conditioned their whole life with eating a certain way. So making that hurdle, whether it's the Ironman, whether it's eating differently, whether it's, you know, stop putting crap into your, you know, body or your children's body, whatever, if it by needle or by food, yeah. You know, and start connecting with your inner power. Yeah. And that's another reason why I wanted to connect with you is because you have such a distinct power about you, is that you don't allow for your mind to, you know, really go against you. You work with it in the flow of your own life. And so you dig into your power and you understand how to use that for yourself. And so how amazing is it to show the world that how powerful are you? Do you know how powerful you are as a human being?
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't. But, you know, it's amazing that it's great to have somebody come on Mega Wellness Summit, talk about how your mindset is everything. And by doing the mantras while you're doing it, just have the end in mind, have the end in sight, and feel it and breathe it. And you were there. And, you know, Zeke would do it. Zeke wouldn't quit.
Zeke wouldn't quit. So there's no way he would quit. You know, as you were talking, I was thinking about back to when I first had my life aha moment, maybe, gosh, 15 years ago now, I would say 15 years. I was engaged to somebody and she broke my heart. And, you know, when you're young and you get your heart broken, you think your entire world is over. You know, now being older, you know, a broken heart hurts, but, you know, there's more to life, right? But at the time, I was it, man. I was done. I was devastated. I slipped into depression. You know, oftentimes I thought about just, you know, driving around this corner, and if I don't turn and just drive off the end, it's over, you know, and I can be done. And I wouldn't say that I was mega suicidal, but certainly on the depressive level where the thoughts come in, you know.
Right.
And for a guy, I mean, you know me, I'm genuinely happy pretty much all the time. And it really was, there was a moment where I thought, what am I doing here? For me, I dove into the Bible. That was my strength. But I found a scripture that said, go, eat your bread in happiness and drink your wine with a cheerful heart, for God has already approved your works. And to me, what that spoke to me was that, look, you live, you breathe, you're here on earth. You got everything you need. Like, you don't need anything else. You don't need, you know, you don't need to have shame about your actions. You don't need to have, you know, pain about what this girl did to you. There's more to life. There's a lot more ahead of you. And from that moment on, really, I turned to figuring out how to enjoy every second of life. And I would say that, you know, if people are okay, Ryan, but you kind of got a good attitude, and you know, I can see where you could do it, but maybe I can't do it either. I just want to say that, you know, that everybody has a starting point. Everybody has a point where they say enough is enough is enough. And I would just encourage them today. I'd encourage you, just, you know, life is worth living. It's worth living. There's so much to it, and there's so much power in it. There's so much power in being alive. And the world doesn't need you to go and be a doctor necessarily. The world doesn't need you to do what you're doing. What the world needs is for you to come alive. And so the more people that can come alive and truly come alive for their neighbors and the people that they work around and their family, and really from the inside out, they're burning with passion for life. The more people we have burning with passion for life, the better this world is going to be. And really, that's where the core comes from, when the very start of everything that you need to do and need to accomplish all comes from burning for life.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And, you know, another thing that I get is people say, well, how do you have, you know, 2 children, raise a household, you know, do a Women's Wellness Academy, do Mega Wellness Summit? How do you do it all? And then, you know, work in a part-time job on the other side, right? Yeah. And I say, well, if I let my mind think to myself, I can't do it, I won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, my mom says to me, well, Nick, you know, you need to be kind to yourself, and you can't do it all. You can't do it. Okay? If I believed I can't do it, I won't do it. Yeah. But I wake up extra early so I can do this job that I love, so that we can change lives, so that we can speak to people like you, Ryan, that invoke and entice such a spirit into people's lives. You know, you want to, you know, you just want to tell people life is so grand. Life is so beautiful. You know, please wake up and see that. I was talking to my aunt the other day, and she was telling me about a family member who is, you know, just taking pills. She suffers from fibromyalgia. And so she just takes pills. And I said, how sad. I wish that she could just embrace and feel how wonderful life it is, instead of taking pills to numb her all the time. And she's laying on the couch for most of her life.
Wow.
How sad is that? Embrace life, love life, see how awesome it is to go outside and feel the air on your face and know that you're a human being. You're alive. You're alive. The heart that was given to you through a miracle. You know, it's like when we start to think and look through all of the darkness that has happened in our life. And this particular person has had a lot of darkness. And we can be raised with darkness, but there is a lot of light at the end that's waiting, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't change where you came from. You can't change who you were born to. You can't change, I'm 6'2". A lot of people want to be 6'2", but my brother-in-law is 5'6". Nothing you can do about that. There are things that we can't change about us. One of the things we can't change is the things that we've done, our past, the things that were done to us. We can't change any of that. There's nothing in the past. There's up to this moment right now, nothing can be changed from back there, where we grew up, the decisions we made for our career, it's all done. That part is complete. The only thing that we have access to change is today, moving forward. And so we can stay stuck with our decisions and feel bad about the decisions we made that weren't good. We lost money, we did that one investment, lost everything. We can feel bad about it and live our life going forward thinking that we should punish ourselves forever. Or we can own our future and take responsibility today and to decide to move forward. And what does that look like?
Right.
And make a plan and then talk to somebody, that can help you. There's so much in getting rid of shame and getting rid of, the past and taking responsibility for what your future looks like, that just, there's so much value in that for people that are struggling. And really what we're talking about today is the battle of the mind. And this is where all of this happens. We blame ourselves and we're usually horrible to ourselves. We're worse to ourselves than other people are. Your mom's saying that you can't do it all. No, but I can do this one thing right now. And in a minute, I'll do that one thing right then. And, we can compartmentalize, and we can use tools. Like you had said, I get up extra early and I do it anyways. And there are things that we can set up for ourselves, but ultimately it's owning the responsibility for our future. And what do we want our future to look like?
Right.
And that's a battle of the mind that we have to win. We have to win that one. We don't have a choice.
Yeah. And when you're so driven, I don't know how to fix that.
We'll just move forward.
When you're so driven, because I feel that there's a calling. There's a calling to do something grand with my life.
Yeah.
And so when I was just doing social work and I was just going and living my life day to day, waking up at 5 a.m., going to the job that I really didn't look forward to. I had no passion. I had nothing there except for a paycheck waiting for me. And a lot of people live like that. And I would say it is very easy to live like that. And most people do. But I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't. I had to figure it out to live with passion and live with intention. And so I really hope that people will follow and follow in the footsteps and really live with intention and tap into the presence of now. And really, the now is all we have. We can look towards the future, but that is never guaranteed. There's a man, we went bowling last night. There was a man who was burned, his whole body burned from head to toe. He had no fingers, both of them. Okay. He only had eye sockets. I mean, he was so badly burned.
Wow.
But let me tell you, the spirit of this man, I had no idea who he was, but he could bowl like a champion. And I'm like, how is he doing that? How is he doing this? It was so fascinating. A man with no hands or fingers was bowling. So he's taking the heavy bowling ball like this and throwing it and got every pin every time.
Wow.
Now, if that isn't power of the mind, I don't know what is. He had the will to live, and he is I bet you he is living every single day to its fullest.
You know, he has every excuse, every right. He has everything. Nobody would ever blame him or give him a shred of problem if he just sat on the couch and watched TV all day, every day for the rest of his life. I don't think one of us would be like, dude, you got to get off your butt and get out there, man. I think every single person would be like, yeah, that sucks. I guess your life is over, right? I mean, that's where we would be. We'd be like, yeah, we would allow him to do that. And we would never, we wouldn't be that friend that says, look, man, get back out there. So to be able to take that step from, the hospital bed to getting outdoors and knowing that people are looking at you and they're shocked to see you, and still doing it anyways. Wow. That's inspiring. That's terrible.
I was inspired. I mean, I was inspired, and I'm going, you know what? I was so meant to see this, to have this man be in my presence yesterday, because it was just profound. It was profound. And the strength of that man. And he had such a fantastic spirit about him. Yeah. When he walked into the room, it was as if he had nothing wrong with his face, nothing wrong with his hands. He spoke with clarity. He spoke with confidence. And that I hope that is a lesson to us all, an inspiration to us all, that we can persevere. And no matter how dark life gets, life is waiting for you on the other side.
That's good. That's a good message. That's how I live every day of my life. Say all the time, I'm 36, I'm about to turn 37. And I'll say, you only get one shot at being 37. What's it going to look like? How was 36 for you, Ryan? Did you do everything you wanted to do? If not, forget why not. Why not do it now? One thing I didn't accomplish, and I meant to, was I was actually training to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Like 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was training to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and I didn't go. It's gone. That time is gone. That year that I was training is gone. Yeah. I can't ever get it back. The only thing I can do now is continue my training and go to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, this year or next year or whatever it is.
Right.
And I say it all the time, like learning how to really just own your future. Just, man, I was talking to my brother yesterday, and he was like, I don't believe in that, live every day as though it were your last. I said, no, I don't either, because if you lived every day as though it were your last, you would go out there, you'd spend everything, and you just, blow up the world and it doesn't matter. I go, but you have to plan for 1,000. So you live every day as though it were your last, but you plan to live here for 1,000 more days. You plan ahead. You have to have a future. There has to be a hope. There has to be a finish line. There has to be a place where you're going, that's the end of it all. And when I get to that point, then I'm going to set another one, because, that will be fun, but there'll be something else that's fun, after that. And really that's all part of creating your preparation ahead of time, creating your mental habits so that you can be successful. And then when you get to the end, don't be depressed. How often do people get to the end and they complete the task that they're after, and then there's a letdown? Oh, I mean, all the time. It's typical of sales. Typical of salespeople. They'll go make the big sale, and then they're wiped out. They can't get up and make another phone call and make another sale. Why? Because that was their hope. They have no hope. There's no future. There's nothing to aim for anymore. There's no more target. We have to always have a target. There has to be something out there. Goal setting, the purpose of a goal is to create a journey. So if you don't have a goal, you don't have a journey. It's not about the end accomplishment. Whether I finished Ironman or not, it was really inconsequential. It was the journey that it created for me that made life beautiful. And, friends of mine saw me on Facebook, and I would post things on Facebook about, my struggles and my challenges along the way. And, that's what makes life beautiful. Holding the trophy up at the end that was cool. But, that picture of my trophy got 15 likes. But before the Ironman race, I wrote a story about how I was battling and struggling, and that got 54 likes,
Yeah.
And it's not the accomplishment, it's the journey.
Step into that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah. People can tap into it. They can see themselves there. They can hear their own struggles in it. They can be inspired, but at the end of the line, when you get to the end, there's people clapping, but really it was the journey of getting there that was so inspiring. And to be in the presence of greatness is just, it's amazing. But greatness is an action. It's happening. It's not post. Once you've completed it, Tiger Woods, there's nobody, nobody's cheering for Tiger Woods anymore. He was great and then he blew it, right? And so now he's trying to work his way back. And then once we start to see the greatness again, people will start to cheer for him again. Go Tiger Woods, but the greatness is while it's happening, it's the action, it's the activity. So if you want to be great, it's active. It's an action. And so, set that goal, but understand that goal creates a journey for yourself. And if you don't make that goal, that's okay too, because maybe that wasn't where you needed to be anyways. But on your journey, you'll know if that's the right peak or if you need to be on a different one. And so that's one of the things that I discovered after post Ironman was people ask me, what's next? What's next? What are you going to do next? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just enjoying life. What do you mean I have to do something next? They want to live vicariously through me, And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I've got some more triathlon races and things of that nature. But really for me, the next is taking my family to the next level, being able to spend more time with my family, and have the financial freedom to be able to do that. That's what's next for me. And it's the journey that causes and that creates that's the excitement. That's the unknown. That's what makes life beautiful. It's like this wood back here. You can see that none of it is the same. There's some of it's dark, some of it's light. And that's what makes it beautiful. If it was a flat white wall, you'd say, oh, how boring is that? But it's because there's blemishes. And each one of those blemishes, those were branches. Or they were, it was in a fire and this was burned, That it tells a story of struggle. And that's what's beautiful about it. And life is the same thing. The struggles that we go through, that's what makes it so beautiful for us. That's what makes us attractive to other people, is that, that we have struggles. This guy, clearly not an attractive person, isn't going to win any awards that you were bowling with. And yet you were attracted to him because of the beauty that he put off. And it wasn't just because of how he looked, but it was how he represented himself. And that's really what we have to do in life, is we have to represent ourselves in a way that is beautiful. And sometimes, actually oftentimes, the battle is right here. When you're staring at the mirror in the morning, or you're laying in bed at night and you're all alone and you're stuck in your own head. Are you saying good things to yourself? Are you saying bad things to yourself? Are you making positive plans? Are you beating yourself up about the things you did wrong? Where are you going with your mind? And like you said, you got to push forward with the I cans, not the I can'ts.
That's
I
right.
can't always be there. But where's your I can? Where's your I will? Where's your why? Where is your I'm going to do? Those are the things that push us forward. We need the hope. Without a future and a hope, we just will wither into nothing.
That's right. When I was doing Mega Wellness Summit last year, I had such high intentions and hope for what the outcome was going to look like. I was going to be financially free now, and I'd have thousands of followers, and I'd have, 10,000 likes, 15,000 likes. And, well, let's just say I had, the spectrum moved a little.
Yeah.
It moved a little. But the thing is that after the big event was over, I felt this sorrow and disappointment for myself, because I had built it up so much inside of my head. I built up, with my family, that this is it. This is the beginning of the career, financially free, and my business is taking off. And none of that happened. So my husband said, why are you doing it again? And I said, how can I not? How can I not do it again? I have to show myself that I have to prove it to myself that I can do it again. And if I just quit with one time where I thought in my head it was a failure, it wasn't a failure, it was a journey. It was an experience. I had to get through that time because, people didn't know who I was, and people still don't know who I am. But again, with 3 weeks of another Mega Wellness Summit, that might bring in another 1,000 people who now know me that didn't know me before.
Yeah.
So every time we do this, every time we speak to more and more people about our truths and about our experiences in life and, our journey from the hellish moments to get to the end result. I'm not to the end result. I'm not there. But I'm going to be sharing my journey along the way. Yeah, there's aches and pains to get there. And I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. But I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway.
That's beautiful. You have to.
Just like you're going to do it anyway.
Going to do it anyways. Got to.
I have no knees, but for the love of God, I am going to get to that end and see my family and put my arms up. And how you even walked after you get through, after the line is beyond me, and that's really something else, to say that my body was failing me, but my mind kept me strong.
Yeah, we are strong. We are very strong beings. There's nothing we can't accomplish.
No, I agree.
We put our mind to it. I
agree. Thank you. And I want everybody to follow your journey, whatever is next for you, because there are amazing things that are coming for you in your life. And I'll give everybody the links to follow your journey as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be on your summit. And I hope that if I inspired one person to get out there and do something great, then that's all I need. That's excitement right there.
Me too. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your wisdom.
Aloha.
Mahalo.